Welcome back to English Podcast course. Today, we'll practice fun English conversations for...
So, picture this. You're chatting with someone, and they say, "I want to grow up my business." I always have to stop myself from cringing a little because that's not quite how it works in English, right?
Oh, I've heard that so many times. It's like our brains just want to mash grow and grow up together, but they mean very different things. Grow up is usually about people, not things or businesses.
Exactly. Plants grow, kids grow up. But you can't really say your house grew up last year unless it suddenly developed a mortgage and a taste for jazz music.
Imagine a house with existential angst. But jokes aside, that confusion trips up a lot of English learners. It's easy to see why they sound so similar, but context is everything.
Speaking of context, let's break down the difference. When I say grow, I mostly mean getting bigger or increasing in some way. Like, my tomatoes grow so fast in summer.
Yeah, and grow up is more about maturing, like, I grew up in a small town. It's not just about size, it's about change and experience over time.
That's a good point. So if I try to grow up my career, it just sounds off. But grow my career works because it's about developing or expanding something.
Exactly. And I've heard people say things like, I want my children to grow strong. Perfect. But if you say, I want my children to grow up strong, you're wishing for them to mature into strong adults.
I still remember a friend who said, "My cat grew up so big this year, I couldn't help but imagine the cat wearing a tiny suit and tie heading to work."
That's adorable. But yeah, that's a classic mix-up. My cat grew so big is what they meant. I've also heard, this company has grown up a lot, which always makes me picture a business going through an awkward teen phase.
Like, maybe it's suddenly moody and starts listening to emo music. But seriously, these slip-ups are totally understandable. English is full of these little traps.
Absolutely, and sometimes even native speakers play with the words for fun. But for learners, it can get confusing fast.
What's wild is how common this mistake is, especially for speakers of languages that use one word for both ideas. Like for them, grow and grow up might just be the same verb.
Right, and then English throws in those little prepositions that totally change the meaning. It's like, congrats, now you need to remember another tiny word that flips the whole sentence.
I've had students who get so frustrated. One even asked me, "Why can't English just keep things simple?" And honestly, I didn't have a great answer.
I know. All those phrasal verbs are basically English's way of keeping everyone on their toes. But the good news is, once you get the hang of it, you'll start catching these things everywhere.
That actually reminds me, we should share some easy tricks for getting this right. My go-to advice. If you're talking about people and experience, go with grow up. For everything else, plants, skills, businesses, just use grow.
I love that rule of thumb. Another one? Try swapping in mature for grow up in your head. If it makes sense, then grow up is probably the right choice. Like, my dog matured, yes. My bread matured? Not so much.
Ha! My bread matured overnight. That sounds like an artisan bakery slogan. But seriously, a little practice goes a long way. Eventually, your ear just picks up what sounds right.
Exactly, and don't be afraid to ask a native speaker or just Google it if you're unsure. Even fluent folks still mix these up sometimes, so no shame in double-checking.
So, whether you're growing a garden, growing your skills, or growing up as a language learner, remember, it's all about using the right phrase for the right moment.
Honestly, the little differences are what make English fun and just a bit ridiculous. But that's half the adventure, right?
For sure. If you catch yourself saying your business grew up this year, just smile and know you're in good company. Everyone's learning, all the time.
And if all else fails, just picture a house with a briefcase or a moody teenage office. Trust me, you'll never forget the difference again.
You know, there's always that moment when you stare at your front door and can't remember if you left your keys inside or just plain forgot them somewhere. Happens to me more than I'd like to admit.
Oh, I totally relate. There's this split second of panic when you realize you're locked out, and you're piecing together whether you purposely left your keys on the table or if your brain just tricked you into thinking you had them.
Exactly. It's like your memory does you dirty. Either you set things down consciously or they just vanish into the abyss of forgetfulness. Makes me wonder how our brains decide what's left and what's forgotten.
Honestly, I think it depends on how distracted we are. If I'm juggling groceries while texting, odds are it's a forgot. If I leave my sunglasses by the door because I know it's cloudy, that's a left.
Now that you mention it, intent makes all the difference. Like, if I left my lunch in the fridge on purpose because I'm skipping it, that's not the same as forgetting it completely and starving at noon.
And yet, people mix those up all the time. My roommate once thought I'd forgotten to do the dishes, but I'd left them soaking on purpose. Major difference in my book.
Exactly. The drama over "you forgot" versus "I left it for a reason." Funny how that tiny difference can cause epic household debates.
You'd think after years of living together, we'd have a chart on the wall: left, intentional, forgot, accidental. Saves so many passive-aggressive texts.
That actually reminds me. We use left and forgot in conversation almost interchangeably, but context really matters. Like if you say, "I left my phone at work" versus "I forgot my phone at work," it sort of changes the whole vibe.
Totally. Saying you left, it almost sounds like a decision, even if it wasn't, whereas forgot just screams unintentional space out. My boss once asked which it was like it'd change the outcome if I left on purpose.
That's so true. Sometimes I'll even fib and say I left, something just to sound less scattered, like it was somehow a strategic move.
I've done that too. There's definitely less shame in leaving than in forgetting. It's almost like language helps us save face.
Switching gears a bit, have you ever wondered why our brains muddle memories like that? Sometimes I genuinely can't tell if I skipped bringing my notebook or if I consciously decided to leave it behind.
Yeah, it's wild. I read that multitasking messes with memory, so when we're rushing, our brains just don't log whether an action was intentional or not. No wonder things blur together.
Makes sense. My mental checklist gets scrambled every time I'm late. It's almost like I have a memory black hole for things I was supposed to do in the morning.
Same here. The worst is when you only realize it hours later, like when you sit down at work and suddenly picture your lunch chilling on the kitchen counter.
So, here's a question. Is there anything you do to help yourself remember if you left something on purpose or just forgot it?
For me, I try to run through my mental movie if I can picture putting my wallet on the dresser. Chances are I left it. If there's just a blank, odds are I forgot it entirely.
That's clever. Sometimes I'll say things out loud as I do them, like, "Keys are on the kitchen table." It's like leaving a voice memo for future me.
Love that! I also set reminders in my phone for the stuff I'm most likely to forget, so at least my technology can pick up the slack when my memory checks out.
You know, every time someone tells me to hold my horses, I immediately imagine myself at a racetrack, grabbing actual horse reins and yelling, "Whoa there!" But where does this phrase actually come from?
Honestly, that mental image is way too fun. But the phrase is pretty old. It actually dates back to ancient Greece, if you can believe it. There are records of people telling chariot drivers to literally hold their horses before charging off.
So it was a literal thing. First makes sense. I guess controlling eager horses and controlling impulsive humans isn't so different after all.
Exactly. It's kind of wild how a phrase for wrangling actual animals turned into a way of telling people to chill out. Language just latches onto the weirdest metaphors sometimes.
Thinking about it, I haven't even seen a live horse in months, but I still say hold your horses all the time. Why do you think it stuck around so long?
Maybe because it feels a lot more colorful than just saying, "Wait a sec." Plus, there's something satisfying about the rhythm of it. I also think people love quirky sayings that feel old-timey.
Definitely. There's a certain charm to using horse-related phrases in an age when we mostly ride electric scooters. Maybe it's nostalgia for a wilder past, or just that we like sounding dramatic.
I'll admit, I use it with my kids when they're ramping up for dessert. It gets a laugh every time probably because they picture literal horses stampeding into the kitchen.
That reminds me. Have you ever tried saying it at work? Like during a heated meeting? People react so differently. Some laugh, some shoot you a look like you just spoke medieval English.
Oh, totally. Last week during a project rush, I dropped, "Let's hold our horses a minute," and half the team paused, then someone joked, "Do you mean slow our roll?" It got everyone to chill out for a second.
I love that sometimes weird idioms are like the social reset button. They break the tension without anyone having to say, "Hey, you're being too intense."
Exactly. There's a kind of playfulness baked into these old sayings, which is why people keep reaching for them even now.
Speaking of playfulness, are there any phrases today that have the same vibe as hold your horses? I feel like slow your roll is the closest, but maybe there are others?
Slow your roll is a good one. I've also heard pump the brakes that's definitely more car-themed than horse-themed. Or the classic, hang on a sec.
True, but none of those have quite the same drama as imagining a runaway horse. Maybe that's why Hold Your Horses just refuses to retire. It paints such a wild picture.
I couldn't agree more. There's just something epic about it. I mean, you're not just asking for patience, you're conjuring up stampedes.
Actually, thinking back, I have definitely needed to hold my horses, like, every Black Friday sale ever. My brain sees 50% off and forgets all common sense.
I hear you. The last time there was a flash sale on sneakers, I almost bought 3 pairs before I even checked my size. Sometimes hold your horses is advice we really should take ourselves.
Maybe we need a modern version, hold your credit card or pause your clicking finger. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as nicely.
That's the magic of the original. It's dramatic, a bit silly, and honestly, we all need that reminder to slow down, whether it's with horses, shopping carts, or browser tabs.
So, the other day, someone told me I'd left my phone in the fridge, and for a solid minute, I actually believed them. Turns out, they were just pulling my leg. Have you ever had a moment where someone totally fooled you like that?
Oh, definitely. My cousin once convinced me I'd missed my own birthday dinner because everyone left early. I was freaking out, but it was just her messing with me classic pulling my leg. It's wild how harmless these little pranks can seem, but they really get you for a second.
It's so true. What I love is how the phrase, pulling someone's leg, just rolls off the tongue, but the literal image it brings up is kind of hilarious. Like, who decided tugging on someone's leg was the symbol for joking around?
That's what gets me too. The mental picture is just absurd, someone actually yanking your leg to make a joke. But it does make you remember the phrase, that's for sure.
That actually makes me wonder, do you know where pulling someone's leg even comes from? I've heard a couple of wild theories.
One theory I read was that it goes way back to Old England, where pickpockets would supposedly trick people by pulling their legs to distract them. But then, other folks say it just came from stage comedy and clowning around. It's kind of up in the air.
So, basically, either mischievous criminals or mischievous clowns, really, quite the spectrum. I guess we'll never truly know. But I love that the phrase, stuck, no matter where it came from.
Yeah, it's funny how language keeps these mysteries alive. Even if we don't know exactly where it began, everyone knows what it means today.
Thinking about it, there are definitely good moments and not so great moments to pull someone's leg. Like, harmless teasing with friends is fine, but you probably don't want to try it out on your new boss.
Oh, for sure. I learned that the hard way tried to trick my manager into thinking there was free cake in the break room. Let's just say, she didn't find it as funny as everyone else did. Timing is everything with these things.
Right? It's such a balancing act, knowing when someone's in the mood for a joke and when it's best to just keep things straightforward. Sometimes the best leg pulling happens when nobody expects it.
That's so true. Catching someone off guard, but in a gentle way, can make for the best stories later. It's all about reading the room.
You know, I've always wondered, do other languages have their own version of pulling someone's leg? Or is this just an English thing?
They totally do. In Spanish, for example, people say tomar el pelo, which literally means to grab someone's hair. Imagine someone just yanking your hair as a prank. It's a little more aggressive than tugging a leg, isn't it?
That's fantastic. I'd never heard that. And in German, I think it's something like taking someone for a ride. Even the metaphors get a cultural twist.
Exactly. Each language has its own way of playing with the idea of harmless trickery. It's like the world is united in its love of a good-natured prank.
Funny you mention united in pranking. Have you ever seen a joke go way too far? Like what starts as pulling someone's leg and ends up more like pulling a muscle?
Oh, absolutely. I saw someone pretend to win the lottery at work. It was all laughs until people realized it was fake. Suddenly, nobody was amused. It's wild how quickly a joke can turn awkward if the person on the receiving end isn't in on it.
That's the risk, right? Pranks can bring people together or just make it weird. As long as everyone's laughing at the end, you know you've nailed it.
Exactly. If you're pulling someone's leg, you just have to make sure you're not stepping on their toes at the same time.
You know what's wild? Even after years of speaking English, I'll still hesitate before using bring or take. Like, I'll freeze up for a second, wondering which one actually fits.
Honestly, me too. I'll be mid-sentence and suddenly it's like, wait, is it bring your book to class or take your book to class? And then I start overthinking the whole thing.
It's so funny because they feel interchangeable sometimes. But deep down, there's this nagging sense you'll trip over some weird grammar rule.
Or worse, you finally commit, say it with confidence, and someone gives you that look the, did you just say that? Eyebrow raise. That's when you know you picked the wrong one.
That actually reminds me, I once heard it's all about direction. Like, bring is when something's coming toward where you are, and take is when it's going away from you.
Yeah. If I say, can you bring the snacks to the party? I probably mean I'll be at the party, so you're coming to me. But if I say, can you take the snacks to the party? Maybe I'm not going, so you're moving them somewhere else.
It's a tiny difference, but it flips the meaning. No wonder people get tripped up. The party example's actually helpful. It's all about the point of view.
Sometimes it gets messy though. Like, if we're both not at the party yet, is it bring or take? I feel like that's where my brain short circuits.
Funny you mention that context really messes with these words. Like, my grandma will say, take me to the doctor. But technically, from my point of view, I'm bringing her somewhere.
Oh, I totally relate. My mom always says, bring your jacket when you go outside. But she's not coming with me. I guess it just feels natural to say, bring, even if it's not technically correct.
Exactly, real life doesn't always fit the textbook rules. Sometimes I just go with whatever sounds best and hope no one notices.
Same. Plus, sometimes the person you're talking to doesn't even care. Unless they're a grammar nerd. Of course, then you're toast.
Speaking of grammar nerds, have you ever noticed how people who speak other languages sometimes swap these up differently? Like in Spanish, there are different verbs for take and bring, but the usage isn't always one-to-one.
Right, and in some languages there's just one word for both. My French friend was baffled by how picky English is about this. She told me she just picks whichever sounds fancier.
That's hilarious. I guess it makes sense why so many English learners get mixed up. Even native speakers have to pause and think sometimes.
Absolutely. When your first language isn't English, you're just trying to survive the conversation, not win a grammar contest. We could all use a little more patience.
So, let's say someone genuinely wants to nail this. Do you have any quick tips for remembering which to use? Because my brain needs a cheat sheet.
Here's what works for me. I picture myself at the destination. If the thing is coming to where I am, it's bring. If I'm carrying it somewhere else, it's take. Visuals help me way more than rules.
Oh, I love that imagine yourself at the end point. And honestly, if you mess up, chances are people still get what you mean. English has survived worse.
Exactly, don't sweat it too much. Besides, if you ever get stuck, just say carry and watch everyone nod in agreement like you're a language genius.
You ever realize, like, hours later that someone was dropping you a hint and you just totally missed it? I swear, it's like my brain is on some sort of delay timer when it comes to picking up signals.
Oh, those delayed realizations are the worst. I remember once a friend kept mentioning how they didn't have lunch plans, and I just kept talking about sandwiches instead of actually inviting them to eat together. Later, I felt like such a doofus.
That's exactly what I mean. Sometimes the hints aren't even subtle, but somehow I manage to breeze right past them. It's like my mind needs subtitles for real-life conversations.
Honestly, I wish there was a universal signal for, hey, this is a hint, please catch it. It would save so much embarrassment, and probably some friendships too.
Thinking about it, why do you think hints are so hard to catch? Is it just me overthinking, or do we all struggle with reading between the lines?
For me, it's like there's this invisible filter. If someone isn't direct, my brain files it under random chatter. Maybe we're just used to people saying exactly what they mean, so when they don't, it throws us off.
That's a good point. Maybe all those years of being taught to be honest and upfront makes us miss out on nuance. It's like we got trained out of hint detection.
And yet, somehow, society expects us to magically decode tone, facial expressions, and pick up hints at the same time. Multitasking level. Expert. No wonder we get it wrong half the time.
It's like playing emotional Sudoku, but nobody told us the rules. Speaking of rules, have you ever tried dropping a hint yourself and it just completely bombed?
Oh, constantly. One time, I kept hinting to my roommate that I needed help with chores by mentioning how messy the kitchen was getting. I think they just thought I'd become obsessed with cleanliness because nothing changed.
I've totally been there. I once tried to drop hints about wanting a surprise party for my birthday, didn't even get a cupcake. Apparently, I have the subtlety of a foghorn, but nobody noticed anyway.
Sometimes I wonder if everyone's so busy looking for their own hints, they can't see the ones we're tossing their way.
That actually reminds me, do you think it's better to just say things outright instead of dropping hints? I feel like directness would save a lot of headaches.
I lean toward being direct, mostly because I'm not great at subtlety myself, but sometimes being blunt can come off as rude depending on the crowd. It's a tricky balance.
Totally depends on the context, I guess. Like, in some cultures, subtle hints are actually seen as more polite, while in others, you're just left feeling lost.
Yeah, and there are times when a gentle nudge with a hint can preserve someone's feelings, but other times, it's just a recipe for confusion. It's a high-stakes guessing game.
So, after all these failed hints and missed signals, do you think we can actually get better at this? Or are some of us just doomed to be hint blind forever?
I'd like to believe we can improve, maybe with a little practice and a lot of humility. Sometimes it's just about paying closer attention or even asking when you're not sure what someone means.
Definitely helps to laugh at yourself too, when you miss something obvious. At least then you're not taking it so seriously, and hey, a little self-deprecating humor goes a long way.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, we should cut ourselves some slack. The world would be a much weirder place if everyone caught every hint on the first try.
Thank you and see you next time.